What if I told you that SpaceX's 10th flight revealed secrets no one has talked about? What seemed like just another test turned into a flying laboratory, filled with unexpected failures, bold experiments, and even clear signs of the future of space exploration. If you love diving into cosmic mysteries and want to uncover what really happened during this historic flight, subscribe now and join our journey, because the untold truth might surprise even the most passionate space fans. From the very first moments, Flight 10 showed it wouldn't be like any other. The rocket stayed on the pad longer than usual, engines roaring like a caged dragon, before finally breaking free from Earth's grip. That pause wasn't a mistake, it was a test. Elon Musk and his engineers wanted to see how far they could push the engines under extra stress before committing to flight. It's a bold strategy, but not entirely new. Back on Flight 7, there was a similar delay, but that time it came from technical issues. On Flight 10, the difference was intention. They did it on purpose. It's like a scientist holding a beating heart in his hands just a little longer, just to feel every pulse. For the public, it was only a few extra seconds of noise. For the engineers, it was a notebook full of data. But that was just the beginning. What happened right after made it clear that even when things fail, SpaceX knows how to turn chaos into knowledge. The Super Heavy took center stage with its 33 Raptor engines thundering like rolling storms. As it passed through Max Q, the point of maximum aerodynamic pressure, one of the engines failed. It was as if the heart of a Titan skipped a beat. Yet somehow, it kept charging forward. In previous flights, SpaceX had already used the booster as a testing ground. Flight 4 ended in a fiery explosion midair. Flight 7 couldn't even complete a proper stage separation. By Flight 9, they were experimenting with extreme angles of attack, tilting the rocket deliberately just to study its limits. Flight 10 became the synthesis of all that. Bolder, riskier, but also far more precise. The real surprise came during the landing experiment. Instead of shutting down a central engine as usual, engineers relied on one from the outer ring to guide the descent. Picture a tightrope walker suddenly switching his dominant foot halfway across the line, just to prove he can. And he does. The booster touched down in the ocean, not as a crash, but as a giant carefully lying down to rest. It wasn't recovered, and that was never the plan. The hardware was already outdated, with the V3 waiting in line to take its place. Still, the controlled descent under those conditions was a victory in itself. And if the booster left us impressed, the Starship upper stage took things to an entirely new level. The second stage was the true protagonist of this mission. For the very first time, the Starship V3 completed its full sequence, full burn, shutdown, and suborbital flight, without major failures. It's like watching a child take its first steps alone, steady and unshaken. Every second of that burn was a carefully orchestrated symphony. And then came a quirky debut, the PZ-style Starlink dispenser. If you've ever used one of those candy toys that releases a piece one at a time, you get the picture. It's a playful image, but the engineering behind it could revolutionize how dozens of Starlink satellites are deployed in sequence. Instead of ejecting them all at once, the system feeds them out with precision, pure efficiency wrapped in a simple metaphor. But the most critical achievement was the reignition of the Raptor engines in space. This may sound like a minor test, until you remember that without relight capability, there's no moon landing, no Mars return, no future beyond Earth. Flight 10 proved that Raptors can fire reliably in the vacuum. And with that milestone achieved, it was time to face the most brutal trial of all, reentry. Reentry is a spectacle that blends beauty with danger. The ship plunges back into the atmosphere engulfed in fire, turning into a controlled shooting star. This time, the forward flaps, recently redesigned, held strong. They returned almost unscathed, like knights walking out of battle without a scratch. But the rear flaps weren't so lucky. That's where the chaos unfolded. Failures, partial explosions, and severe damage in the engine bay. Cameras captured flames bursting, sparks flying, and debris breaking off as if the spacecraft itself were bleeding fire. To the public, It looked like the Starship was moments away from tearing apart. To the engineers, every spark was data, every scorch mark a clue in the puzzle of making this machine survive the impossible. The contrast was striking: success in the front, disaster in the back. It was a reminder that at SpaceX, every victory opens the door to a new problem waiting to be solved. But those problems came with something else, an unexpected visual twist that caught everyone's attention worldwide. When the ship returned, it looked as if it had been repainted. Half white, half orange. But this wasn't fresh paint, nor was it a camera trick. The white areas came from the vaporization of the insulating layer beneath the heat shield tiles. The orange hue was the result of metallic test tiles oxidizing after being scorched by atomic oxygen in the upper atmosphere. It was as though the Starship had come back from battle wearing its scars proudly. Each color told a story. The white spoke of vulnerability exposed, while the orange marked the resilience of steel burned but still holding on. This wasn't just aesthetics. It was a visual reminder that every test leaves its mark. In a way, those scars made the Starship even more iconic. But as striking as the colors were, they weren't the most impressive part. What truly stunned engineers and fans alike was the near-perfect precision of where the ship came down. The Starship splashed down in the ocean, just 3 meters from its planned target. Imagine throwing a needle from space and nearly hitting the bullseye of a dartboard. That level of accuracy shows SpaceX is closer than ever to achieving one of its boldest goals, the tower catch, capturing the rocket midair with the launch tower's giant arms. Elon Musk predicts this daring move could happen between flights 13 and 15. But before that, Flight 11 will continue testing with the Starship V2, and Flight 12 is expected to bring brand new surprises. Then comes the highly anticipated Starship V3, equipped with the powerful Raptor 3 engines. If the V2 already feels like science fiction, the V3 promises to rewrite the rules entirely. Each flight is like turning the page of a living sci-fi novel. Except this one is being written right before our eyes. Flight 10 wasn't just another test. It was the most successful so far, not because it was flawless, but because every fireball, every failure, and every spark turned into priceless data. It closed the door on old problems, while opening new ones to solve. SpaceX keeps advancing as if walking a razor's edge, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. But even the steps backward carry lessons that push humanity closer to the stars. And now, the big question remains. Will Flight 11 finally deliver a full orbital mission? Elon Musk believes it will. But space doesn't forgive optimism. So, I'll leave you with this. Do you think SpaceX is truly on the verge of the impossible, or are we still in for many fiery surprises along the way?